Hey guys, I am Julie May and I am here with my hubby Joe today, and we are going to be making fermented hot sauce. Fermented hot sauce is really amazing for you. It actually increases the bioavailability of the nutrients in all of the peppers, which, as you know, are already super nutritious. It has like prebiotics, probiotics, all this really good stuff for you. And according to Joe, it's not that hard to make, but guess what? This is the thing he does, and so he's mostly gonna be making it today. My friends call this Uncle Joe's famous hot sauce because it is really pretty good. So I'm gonna talk to Joe a little bit as we go through this, but he's gonna teach us how to make it. So I'm excited today.
Go! So we've got several different types of peppers. Last year, the first time I did this, I mainly had two kinds of peppers. We used habaneros and jalapenos. This year I tried a few other different types of peppers. We've got, first of all, this is a peach pepper. Now don't let the name of it fool you. This is a spicy devil. It's a very hot little pepper, but I really enjoy the flavor of these. We also have the classic habanero pepper. These are also very hot.
Look, Joe, quick question.
Uh-huh.
I see gloves off to the side. How many of these should we be wearing gloves with?
Once you start cutting them, you're okay handling them uncut, but once you start cutting these peppers, you're going to want to wear the gloves. Last year, in my naivete, I'm like, oh, I'll just be careful with handling it. And so I chopped all these peppers, put them in the bottles. My hand burnt for a little over 12 hours. So I highly recommend you wear gloves while doing this. But you got the habaneros and the peach peppers. The peach pepper is very close in heat to the habanero, slightly less, still a very spicy pepper. These fun little guys, this is called a buena mulata. They come in purple like this, but as they ripen, they turn into this color where they're a bright red.
Cool.
These are related to a cayenne pepper, so also another very high spicy little pepper. Now you're probably thinking at this point, this is going to be super hot. But one of the things that happens as you ferment peppers is that the heat level actually comes down. So the habanero pepper sauce that we made last year was actually not. It was spicy. Don't get me wrong. If you don't like spicy, it's probably going to be a little too hot for you. But if you like jalapenos on things, it's probably going to be just fine once the process is done. I also have a sweet pepper here. This is just one of the types of sweet peppers, and I also have just a green bell pepper. I forget which variety of sweet pepper this is, but it's just a common sweet pepper. So that's the variety of peppers that will be going into this one. We've got onion. This is a sweet onion. And I also grabbed some red onion. I think I'm going to throw that in just for some color, and I like the flavor of it. We're also going to add cilantro. Cilantro is the magic ingredient for hot sauce. We're going to include a little garlic. Here's something you probably wouldn't think to put into hot sauce, but these are carrots. I got the shredded ones just so that they ferment a little quicker and easier, and that the fermentation process gets clear through. Now, people are a little scared of fermentation because they don't understand it. When you're fermenting things, you're selectively choosing for the good bacteria. These are the bacteria that are actually good for you to aid us in preserving the vegetables. There's two different types of bacteria. One requires air, what they call them anaerobic. There's one that doesn't require air, and those are the good ones that we're going to want to use. So part of the process in fermenting these is excluding the air from the process once we start the fermentation process. All right, so I think we're ready to get started. We're going to start chopping peppers. So I'm going to glove up because I don't want to scratch something and have it burn my eyes out or something. All right. So what we're going to be fermenting this in is just it's just a salt water. You want to use a pickling salt as opposed to just a regular iodized salt. The difference is this doesn't have iodine in it. And the problem you get with iodine is that it will cause, when you do a pickling process, it leaves kind of a metallic taste. It also will make your brine very cloudy. So we're going to use a pickling salt for this. Just very quickly remove the seeds from the peppers. I don't chop them up too fine for the actual bottling process. So I might chop it in half, maybe a little bit more. It really is not going to matter. You could even put this in a food processor and do just a really light chop on it. So this is that peach pepper there. We'll slice it open, let you take a look at that. It's got a really pretty yellow color, and they actually can get kind of a peach color to them as they mature. Here's one that is fully mature there. You can see that peach color there. One of the nice things about peppers is that they can be used at any point of their development. You can use them when they're quite young, you can use them when they're almost ripe, you can use them when they're ripe, and you can even dry them and use them well after they preserve very well. The next little bit here, we're chopping peppers. One of the things you want to make sure that you're doing is you want to really pack the peppers in there as tight as you can. So I'm actually going to go in there with the utensils and press the peppers down. As they start to ferment, they release their juices and they sink on down further, and you end up with a whole lot of liquid and not a lot of solids in there. And it's the solids that make the sauce. So pack your peppers down tight. Don't be afraid to mash them a little bit. It actually will speed up the fermentation process as it releases the juices from those peppers in there. So you can see we're packing it down. We were about full on that jar, but now we're going to pack it down a little bit more. So we got all of our different varieties of peppers in here. We got some beautiful habaneros that we grew in the garden here. The peach peppers, the buena mulatas, the sweet peppers, all of those came out of our garden. So we're going to pile those in really tight. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of carrot in there. The carrot adds some color. It also adds some sweetness. Carrots are actually very sweet. They're sweeter than an apple as far as the glycemic index, and it's going to give a little sweetness to the hot sauce, and it provides a nice color to it as well. You get a nice orange color. Something to note on the purple peppers, they don't stay purple when you ferment them. They go kind of a gray color. Not a pretty hot sauce by themselves, but they'll be great in here, and they're going to provide a lot of flavor. We're going to add some onion in here, and I've got just some red onion here. So I'm going to just chop a piece of red onion out here, and we are going to shred that up finely and add that red onion in here. I've also got some sweet onion that we're going to throw in there. Again, it adds a lot of flavor, gives us that nice onion flavor that'll be just fantastic in this hot sauce. Just drop that in there. Once again, pack it in tight. I'll probably get 2 quarts of hot sauce out of this. Now that sounds like a lot, but once you remove the liquids, get the solids down, we ended up with about 8 bottles of hot sauce. And a year ago I would have thought that's more hot sauce than we could use in a year. But when people got a hold of my hot sauce, it all went away really fast, and I ended up running out before the end of the year. So this year, we've doubled the amount that I'm making this year, so that we have enough to get us through to next year. So this will keep in the fridge. We've had it for a year, and it still tastes just fine. So we're going to chop this up. You do need to keep this in the fridge, though. It's not a hot sauce you can put out on the counter. There's some things that we'll do once it's done fermenting. We're going to add some lime juice at the end. We're also going to add a little bit of vinegar to it. As it ferments, it does create its own vinegar, and that's what helps to preserve it. But we do add just a little bit of extra vinegar to it just to keep the acid up a little higher. That helps keep it more shelf stable for longer, and keep it fresh while it's in the fridge there for you for long enough for you to really enjoy this. So I'm going to add the white onion in there. And then lastly, we're going to top it off with some cilantro. I'm just going to chop this cilantro up. I like to just include the stems in it too. After it's fermented and blended, you won't notice the stems are in there, and they've got a great flavor. Adds a lot to the hot sauce. Shove this in here. Oh, and I forgot to grab the garlic. I'm just using a minced garlic you can pick up in any grocery store. You can see this is a large bottle of garlic. We use a lot of garlic in this house. And I'm just going to put a nice spoonful of garlic in here. All right, and that is basically the hot sauce components all set up there. Look how pretty that looks right there, all the different layers of color. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the brine. Now this is, the brine is just water and the pickling salt. You add about one and a quarter teaspoons of salt per cup of water. So we're just going to top that off and pour that in there. Okay, the next part of this is we're going to put in a fermentation weight. And what the fermentation weight does is it just holds everything down under the surface of the water. Remember I told you in order for the good bacteria to work, they need to be excluded from air. So part of keeping them underwater does that. So the fermentation weight, this is just a big glass weight. It's specifically designed for this. There's no cadmium in the glass that they use for these. So it's good, healthy way to preserve these vegetables. Now, I may have overfilled this a little bit. I'm going to put that on here and hold it over the sink just to make sure. Yes, it's a little overfull. All right, you can see there's kind of a good seal around there. Now, as this starts to ferment, you're going to get gases that come up out of this, and you got to have a way for those gases to escape. And so to do that, we use a fermentation lid. And these fermentation lids just come in a box like this. You get 4 lids. And these lids have a valve on it that allows the gas to escape from that during the fermentation process. They also have a nice little feature that allows you to set the date that you started it fermenting. So it's on the 5th. We're going to set this on the 5th. That way we can look to see, in case you forget, like I do, how long has that been up there fermenting? And that'll remind you what day it started. Okay? So we're just going to go ahead and seal that up. Okay, and then the last thing we do is we want to get the oxygen out of that jar. And they provide a nice little pump that comes with the fermentation kit. I'm just going to slap that on there, and we're just going to vacuum it out. And you can see as I start to vacuum it, all the trapped air bubbles coming out. So I'm just going to vacuum that down, and then I'm going to push the air out, and vacuum that out. You can see all those bubbles coming up as I put a negative pressure on there. All right, now we're getting liquid there. That means that we have pulled all the airspace out of there. And at that point, all we got to do is just set it in a nice place and let it sit for about 5 to 7 days. So in a few days, you're going to see that it's bubbling. There'll be little bits of gas that you'll see bubbling up every so often. The vegetables are going to get very bright in color for the first 2 or 3 days, and then they'll start to gray down a little bit. The water will start to get just a little bit cloudy. That's what you want to see. When you reach that stage where it's just getting a little bit cloudy, that is the stage in which your vegetables have completed the fermentation process. It takes about 5 to 7 days. 5 days, it's good. If you go a little bit longer, you're going to get more of a vinegary taste. So if you're someone that likes that little bit of stronger vinegar taste, you can go the full 7 days on that. You really probably don't want to go much past that. You want to also check your sample. If you've got vegetables and stuff that have managed to get up to the top, got past the weight, sometimes they can start to get a little bit of mold on it. You're just going to skim that off, and the rest of it will be fine.
So this is the jar on day 1, fresh after packing, and we're going to show you the rest of the process.
Okay, it's been 6 days since we put this into ferment. You can see how much the vegetables have compressed down even after we packed them in very tight on those jars. And but this is ready now. So we're gonna go ahead and open this up. Oh, it smells delicious. And we need to drain off the liquid here. Now you don't want to discard this liquid. You're gonna actually need to use it to get the right consistency for your sauce. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drain this off. I'm gonna just put this into the blender here. Now, frequently when I'm making hot sauce and I've got a lot of peppers, I'll make different recipes, and I will just stack them with different ingredients and do the whole process at once. But we're gonna just make this one big batch. So I'm gonna blend all the different bottles of sauce together. Oh, that's beautiful. Those peppers just smell so good. Go ahead and add a little of the liquid back in here. Cap this up, and we're going to go ahead and just pulse it a bit to break this down. Jar here we're going to add in. We'll just finish processing this down. Okay, now one of the important things for long-term storage on this is we have to keep the acid up. So we're going to add the juice from a couple of limes. Now it's already pretty acidic. The fermentation process has already created this quite acidic, but just to be safe and for the flavor, I like to add some lime. And that'll also bump that acid level up and keep this very fresh tasting. I'm going to add some vinegar just to increase to keep that acidity level high. And when you add the vinegar, you're actually going to stop the fermentation process from going any further. Basically, the fermentation will continue until the acidity level gets too high for the process to continue. We're just going to artificially bump that acidity level up right now and bring it to a halt. So I'm going to add, about 3, maybe we'll go 4. 4 good spoonfuls of vinegar in there. And that's an apple cider vinegar. That's going to bring some sweetness to the party and get that acidity. See, it's a little thick still, so we're going to just add a little bit more of our liquid back in here until we get it to a good sauce consistency. All right, so that's blending a little bit better. We can kind of check the consistency. And maybe could go just a little bit thinner. So again, we'll add some of our liquid back in here and blend that in. Now, a secret ingredient. This is a xanthan. This isn't required for the hot sauce. If I put this in the bottles right now, this is going to be fantastic. But the one thing that's going to happen is as it sits in your fridge over a couple of weeks, the solids and the liquids are going to separate. And it just doesn't look nice. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. All right, so you're only adding about 1/4 teaspoon per quart. So you're not talking about a lot here. But we're just going to add this in. It's just a white powder here. It's a thickening agent. It basically just helps to make the liquids and the solids stick together. You find this in actually a lot of vegan foods. It gives it kind of your baked goods that you use it in, kind of a doughy texture that you don't get when you're using some of the other products. And that is a completed hot sauce. Now we're going to go ahead and bottle this up. I got these bottles off of Amazon. They come with cute little caps and a sleeve if you want to make it for presentation and labels. So it's a very handy little thing. I'm just going to pop that in. These are specifically a sauce funnel. It fits that bottleneck perfectly. Another nice thing about these bottles is that they are with the glass and the lids like this, you can actually reuse the bottles. So once you purchase these, you can use them over and over again, as long as you can keep your kids from throwing them away when the bottle's empty. We just have these little caps here. This is your shaker spout. You throw the lid on here. The kit that I bought these came with these. It's a heat sealed thing, so we're just gonna pop that over the top here. And you see that just shrinks right down. Creates a nice little seal there. And there we go. We've got some of Joe's extra spicy. There we are. You'll never find hot sauce that good in a store. That's amazing.